Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. I'm your host, Tom Kelly. With me, as always, Joe Marks.
Good morning, Philadelphia.
James Scorza.
And good morning, everybody.
David Sleen.
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Dave has a wedding today, so you will not see Dave talk about the Eagles in a
Go against the
disparaging
family,
fashion.
Dave.
Frank Finnegan is at his father's funerals today. We're thinking about you, Frank, in our hearts and in our prayers. Joe Scorza, I know you had something you want to jump on real quick. Joe is the resident. He's our house band, and he's our all-around videographer, technical support guy.
Yeah, how you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on. I just want to give everybody a shout out that tomorrow at the National Park Pub in National Park, right over the bridge, Psychedelic Elders are opening for China Cat Jubilee again. We're bringing the bands back together this time for a pre-Christmas thing, and it's actually a birthday party for the head of China Cat Jubilee, Tommy Davis, who's gone through some health issues, but he's coming along good, and he's going to be playing with his band tomorrow. We're opening for those guys. Showtime's about 6 or so, and it's right on Hessian Avenue in National Park, South Jersey. Hope to see everybody out there and start your Christmas week off great. Thanks for having me on for a couple seconds, and guys, have a great show.
Yeah, you got it.
Sounds good.
You got a shout out you said over there?
Yeah, I want to shout out, man. Dun, 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 dun. Mr. Jim Gardner, he's retiring after this week.
Yeah.
Just want to say thank you, man, for all the years. I was a little boy when he came on Action News and took over for Larry Kane. That's how far it goes back for me with Jim Gardner. Thanks for delivering the news and keeping me engaged in my family. And enjoy your retirement, sir. You were the best at what you did. God bless you.
The mustache man.
The goat of all goats.
Yep.
There's
I always hear great stories about him.
Do you know the movie Anchorman? Ron Burgundy
Yep.
was based on Jim Gardner.
No.
Yes.
You learn
Really?
something new every
Yes.
day.
Wow. Yep. He based his character on Jim Gardner.
Wow.
And Jim Gardner actually
How about that?
commented or tweeted at Will Ferrell when that first came out in theaters, just saying thank you for the love.
Wow.
So yeah.
Now I gotta go watch it.
Yeah, and if you look at pictures of Gardner from the 70s,
Yeah.
I mean, he
Yeah.
set his look up to look just like
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So, the more you
Yeah.
know.
Him and Jim O'Brien. Back to you, Jimbo.
Yeah,
Yeah, those guys are
absolutely.
great.
Yeah, dude, I mean, he was just a great guy. I mean,
Mhm.
congrats on the retirement and all the best in your future endeavors. And we're gonna really miss you a lot.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to do a shout out. I wanted to shout out my wife. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
Happy birthday to you.
There is a lot of things that have been going on, and this woman has probably been the anchor and the rock to everything that's been going on.
Ain't no probably about it, brother.
Yeah, for
You got to
sure.
give her a world of respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that today's a special day, and we're gonna definitely be celebrating it. We're going out on a date night, so
Nice.
Need those.
looking forward to it. And happy birthday, baby! And I'll talk to you. I'll see you when I get home.
My
Beautiful.
Man, my man, beautiful.
Well said, brother.
You need me to babysit? You guys covered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
There you go.
Second.
There you go.
I only charge $10.50 an hour.
Okay.
That's not
Yeah,
bad.
just to let you
Hey,
know.
and that's a good discount. I'll be in touch. I'll be in
Yeah.
touch.
I'll be in touch.
$10.50 an hour, and when you come home, your kids will know more about sports than when they.
She already does.
Oh, yeah, I know.
She's already programmed. She literally woke up on Monday morning, went, "Daddy," I said, "Yeah," and she's like, "Eagles win?" I was like, "Yes." She's like, "Eagles win!"
Nice. You raised
There
them
you
right.
go. You told her right,
You
man.
raised them right.
And
That's exactly how you do it.
I said, Peyton, we have the Cowboys coming up. She's like, "Moo."
Yeah, man.
That's
right.
because you're doing parenting excellent.
Yeah, that's
You're
good
doing an
parenting.
excellent job, my brother.
When I was a kid and I would go to bed Sunday night, if Sunday night football or Monday night football, your dad let you stay up to halftime.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They come down in the morning, they win. Now my kids do that to me.
Yeah.
And talk
Yeah.
about, Christopher always checks with me. The Eagles win last night. Yeah. And
Dude,
when the Phillies win, Dad. Yep.
My son does that. He said to me, and he's like, Dad, he's watching more football now. He said, Dad, you didn't explain it to me when I was younger. I mean, basketball's been, but now he watching. He was just, Dad, how we doing? The Eagles win? And we got him. Like, so, man, that made me feel so good, man.
My daughter's 2, and she can't spell many words, but she can spell Eagles.
There you go. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. I think that was one of the first words Grace spelled. I wonder why. All right, so this one, I'm coming right out of the gate with this. We are not allowed to talk about Joel Embiid in a disparaging fashion anymore on this program. I am not allowed. Joey is not allowed. James is not allowed. Dave is not allowed. Frank is not allowed.
I saw this coming.
And Damon Salim will not.
I saw this coming.
Going forward, unless he gives us a legitimate reason to, Joel Embiid disparaging talks are off limits from now on.
Wow.
If you talk about Embiid in a disparaging fashion, I will shut your mic off. Time's yours.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
not like I need the mic on anyhow.
This is also very true.
Yeah.
All the other mics around you pick your voice up just fine.
I'll be that guy. That sounds like he's down the hallway.
Yes.
Like, is that Joe?
Sound like you fell down a well.
Right.
That's awesome.
Which, like, is there anything that guy can't friggin' do?
God.
Yeah. Is he having a better season than he did the last 2 years so far?
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I heard one thing and I was like, okay, that's a name you don't hear attributed to Joel Embiid, and that was he could be a 2-time scoring champion as a center, which hasn't been done since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Wow.
What? Like, just let that soak in for a minute.
It's Kareem, Joe?
Since Kareem.
Jeez.
Kareem did it 2 consecutive seasons back in the 70s.
I remember David Robinson. Big Joe might remember this. David Robinson needed 71 points, James, to get the scoring title. And he got it because the team kept feeding him.
Yeah.
This would be right before Duncan got there. I remember that.
I remember that. Tim Duncan, right?
Yeah. They kept feeding him, man, and he got the 71 points. And he wound up getting this. But to Joe's point, he didn't win it the next year.
Right. And that's so interesting because we've heard Joe's name attributed to so many different big men, so many different people. Will, Oscar Robertson, and it goes on. Magic Johnson. Now you sit there and you make him comparable to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, dude is just personifying greatness right now, and I get it. Me being as critical as I was last week, especially, I think Joe listens to the show, and so I think he does it while he's on the treadmill, and he goes, "Who's the guy that's talking trash on me now?"
Who's talking trash about me now?
He's like,
I'm going to run him over with my ball of shovel.
He's like, listen, I'm going to sit there and drop 53 on Sunday. And remember, the last time I talked trash too, he dropped 59. And Dave's on the.
You know what? Maybe we'll give Joey special dispensation to continue talking trash.
Yeah, that works.
Maybe that's the secret.
So I mean, well, it's the reverse mush.
The reverse mush.
Yeah. It's the Matty B reverse mush. It's like the way I call it.
I respect a good reverse mush.
Yeah. I mean, Matty B was a consistent reverse mush along the Philly season. So I mean, you could put bets on Matty B's predictions and make a fortune. But this team, I think it's built better than it has been in a very, very long time. I still am very suspect of the coach, but if Joel Embiid plays out of his mind, I don't think it matters. I mean, and Joe has. I mean, last night against the Warriors, against the champs, even though they were down a couple men, I've said this before. You can play down to your competition, and when you do, you tend to look very weak. But when you play, despite what the other team is dressing, and you play up to that competition, you look dangerous. 10-1 in the last 11 games at home. 10-1
Wow, Joe.
in the last 11 games at home. That is like Eagles type statistics at this point. It's getting a little crazy, but look, as Frank would say and as Dame would say, we're closing in on the season opener,
Yeah.
and with Christmas Day. So
Yeah, I mean that's the thing I took out of it too. I didn't much see about the Sacramento game, but I heard it was a fun game to watch. For I think how many points did Embiid had on that night? Or was he a factor?
40.
Well,
yeah.
obviously he is a factor. I mean, but
Yeah, 40.
what
Yeah.
last
You're talking
against
about
Sacramento a couple
Oh.
days ago, I saw the game
Yeah,
last night,
40
but
something.
everybody was telling me about how much. I mean, they put like 80 points on Sacramento. I was like, oh hell, I missed
at
it.
halftime?
At halftime, yeah, it's
At
Yeah,
halftime.
at halftime they had 80 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
wow.
And listen, there was something that was
Yeah.
said during that game that I don't
Yeah.
think you would have ever heard, coming from this team in its history.
Yeah,
We have a higher 3-point percentage
Mhm.
than the Golden State Warriors.
Mhm.
The Golden State Warriors have Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and all these 3-point guys.
Yeah.
And we have a higher 3-point percentage. We don't take as many shots,
Mhm.
but we have a higher accuracy. And look, if you're making more than you miss,
Yeah.
that's always a good recipe for success.
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, last night, I mean, DiVincenzo like
Oh,
had,
yeah.
had
No, I was happy for him though.
I was
man.
pretty happy for him because he was a Villanova product.
Right.
And the other thing I took out of it too is that how you contained him, like, and then Embiid how like basically like the bench and Embiid took over in that game was pretty astounding.
It surprised me a little that the roster that the Warriors have,
Yeah,
you have Draymond and Clay and Stephen, and you have those guys that are going to eventually retire, and they're probably all going to retire together. There's not going to be a big, there's going to be a drop off, but it's not going to be as drastic as people may think. Wiseman and Kumunga and DiVincenzo and Poole, those guys are going to carry the day a little bit for that team.
Well,
I think Thompson has a little bit left in the tank, but
You think so?
I don't know. I mean, like that all depends on how like healthy he is because he's coming off like 2 serious injuries. And
Yeah.
1 for 10 from 3-point range.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a big key that you took out of it. I took out of it last night. How you contain him last night is actually how
And
you.
the other thing with
Yeah.
him is, and I thought I'm a fan of Steph, and I like Clay as well, but
Mhm.
he was also known for his defense, and with an injury like that, no fault of his own, you can tell Joe he's missed a step, man. It's like he's behind a step or two. And funny with that Warriors team, I was looking at them last night, going, "How did they win the final? How did they win the championship?" TK, but Steph Curry was obviously a major part of that. But going back, Joe said something about the Sixers in terms of what they're doing with the 3-point shot. So looking at Joe last night, man, I mean, dude, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, guy. He's amazing to me. Each time I'm like, my wife and I are watching, she's a big Sixer fan. And the one play, he goes down court and he shimmies and he takes the layup, he goes inside. Then he was aggressive. And this was what Joe was talking about earlier this year. You want to see that, and I was trying to say, like, he does it in spurts because he knows, okay, I need to do it now. I need to get us going now. So now I'm gonna attack the rack. Want to take then I can go to my 12-footer, and then I can hit my 3. He only took 3 of them last night. He shot 2 out of 3. The guy Mitchell used to coach. He's on NBA TV. He goes, he likes to stay behind the 3-point line. I'm like, here you go again. You're not watching the games. He doesn't live behind the 3-point line. These guys want to just make stuff up based upon some clips. But he set the tone of the defense. And I shared this in my article I gave to Joe. He set the tone of the defense. The Sixers defense is one of the top-ranking defense in the league right now. And it's because of him. And then Harden stepped up his defense a little bit. I mean, Harden, man, I have to admit, I didn't think he was the passer, TK, that he's turned out to be. I didn't know. I watched him, obviously, from afar because he was in Houston. This guy's an amazing passer.
Yep, he's a great
I
facilitator.
mean, what is he, 16 assists, then 15 assists. The first player since Maurice Cheeks had double-digit assists back-to-back games.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind is something is that this guy is the quarterback on the floor.
Yes, he is.
And I think a lot of people expected him to come in and drop 40 a game, 40 points a game. And I don't think that makes a difference. I think it'd be nice, but I don't think it makes as much of a difference as getting everybody else involved. And I said this when Ben was here. I said, when I was doing the hand wringing for Ben, what was I saying? I said he's getting everyone else involved.
Right.
And I am going to back up. I'm going to back up Ben Simmons on that alone. With Harden, you always have that possibility he's going to go off offensively, but you haven't lost what Ben brought to the table. You just added a 3-point shooter. Now you have to respect Harden. Like, you get what you had with Ben with those assists and distributing the ball,
Mhm.
but you get that dangerous 3-point shooter, and that's a nice little weapon to
And
have.
Joe, in addition to what you're saying, I saw it last night because he's getting his legs back because
Mhm.
he and Embiid ran the pick and roll.
Mhm.
So in one play, he gets Embiid off, and Embiid hits his 12-foot jumper. Embiid sets a pick, let Harden go around, and it's like, oh, Ben, that's what you were supposed to do.
Right.
But you chose not to do it, James. So now what it creates is everything has to open up like the Red Sea. You have Melton wide open. You have Milton wide open. You have PJ Tucker. Listen, people on Facebook is killing Tucker. This guy did a play last night. He boxed out, got the rebound. Kaminga tried to fake him 3 times, and not Allah, because it was ESPN.
National. Yeah.
But I had Tom McGinnis on my ear as well. And Tom McGinnis said, I said, oh, young guy, I'm not a young boy. Like, he's like, young boy, you're not making me jump. And he that was an incredible defensive stop. So when people say they need this guy, he's a baby Dennis Rodman to me. Again, the pieces are there.
Mm.
So what Joe was saying, Doc, they gave you the ingredient. Let me see you go make this stew. And in all fairness, guys, it's up in the playoffs. So right now they're in the 5th seed, close to the top 3. They get into the top 3 and remain in the top 3 spot. And we see what happens, man. But they're looking good. They're really looking good.
5 games out of first. 5 games back from first place right
Yeah.
now. But in the standings, and the Knicks are right behind them in the 6th seed, setting up for a really nice Christmas Day game.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. That's gonna be
Yeah,
nice.
I mean that's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
And believe me when I say this, is that this Eastern Conference is going to be a war zone
It is.
between Christmas and the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because, as Tom said, 5 games back, but we all know 5 games back in the NBA, especially in a competitive conference, that lead could disappear in a week and a half.
1, 2.
Yeah.
The Sixers are in 5, all the way back to the Pacers in 9th.
Yeah.
Teams are only 1 game back of the
Yeah.
Sixers. So
Yeah.
it's and the Cavs, the top 3, Celtics, Bucks, and Cavs, they're all within 3 games of each other, a game of each other. So there's a lot of room for.
And just remember, those 7 to 10 seeds always like to play spoiler.
Yep, and
When-
there's a lot of room for
Yeah.
teams to leapfrog each other,
Uh-huh.
fall back, and it's going to be a race to the finish. In this,
Uh-huh.
That's why it's important with this 7-game homestand. They already won 4 in a row to
Yep.
finish this out strong. Doc listened to his post game last night in regards to Maxey. I forget what the question was, but he said when he returns, we have several lineups to play with. He said we like sometimes now moving Bible to the 4 if need be. So I'm seeing a couple things. I'm seeing Doc play the bench a lot more. I have to give him credit. I have to give him credit for that. He's letting these guys play a little longer. The other thing is you're seeing the Burks and the Sam Cassells really get involved with these players a lot more. So I don't know if he's leaning to them a lot more. But these guys like each other.
Yeah.
It's like they're sharing the ball and they want everyone to succeed. And when the big fella's happy, everybody's happy.
There was a quote that James did in one of the post game press conferences, and I feel like from a guy who gets a bad rap in this league, to hear something like that, whether it's pomp and circumstance or whether it's legitimate, feelings, he's like, we're not going to worry about on this team our individual stats. That doesn't matter. We're not selfish players on this team. We are the goal is to win games, period. And when you have a guy like that who's been, MVP, has been, scoring champion, has been around the block a time or two, and it could have that diva mentality and has had that, kind of moniker put on him by the national media and whatnot. This is a guy, when you say something like that and you prove it, you will win a lot more fans than you'll lose in this city.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. I mean, when you got a guy who's like, it doesn't matter what I score. Doesn't matter. As long as we win the game, I don't care. I don't care if I get 10 points and 18 assists and Joel goes off for 50 or 60, and everybody, because I mean, even last night, Thibault had an open three, and James is like, he
Shoot
missed it, but James is like going over to him like, no, you shoot that. When I give you the ball, you shoot it. Don't hesitate. Don't think about it. Just shoot it. Because in James's mind, it's not about the assist. It's about getting his teammates involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing I took out of it too last night was when there was a couple of like couple plays that they were like looked like they were trying to get Golden State back into the game. And I think the one thing I took out of it was that this bench is like actually saying, yeah, I mean, look, they had DiVincenzo the first couple minutes of the game,
15 points.
15 points without even blinking, and it was like,
James.
and it was just like, okay, this is going to be that kind of a night. And then they started to tone it down a bit and started to play a more convincing game.
Yeah, and a couple things to both your points. One, I said this to my wife last night. I said, babe, I noticed Harden is doing less of the dribble for the past couple of. I don't mind if he does it once in a while because that's. But now he's pushing the ball. He's getting it up. He did that one pass to House Jr. They compared it to a Tom Brady pass in the postgame show. We threw it full court and House slams it and gets the and one.
Or it could be like Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith last week.
Right, exactly. Yes, sir. And then the other thing is Doc did something that I thought was awesome scientifically on defensive end. So Poole was getting off first half in threes. He said, okay, Thibault, second half, I'm going to put you on Poole. This is why it was a good move, TK. We know Thibault can get into foul trouble. I'll preserve you for the second half on Poole as opposed to putting you in the first half on him. This way, if you get in foul trouble, it'll be more so in the second. And he calmed them down, man. He blocked the shot. And that woke up the arena. So, yeah, man, listen, the sky's the limit. I just want them to just want to win, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you, buddy.
And, does it feel like Harden's at full strength now?
Yeah, man.
So he's looking sharp.
Out there. Yes. And he and Embiid are in sync.
It's like he's getting that killer instinct back because a lot of times in injury, everybody knows you have any kind of injury like he had slows you down.
Especially
you're
for older
hesitant.
guy.
Right. So he's sharp in a couple of weeks. Maybe Maxey comes back, integrate him back into the system, allow him to get his legs back under him, and look out.
TK, I'm glad you brought that up. This to everybody. What do you do? I'm kind of wondering a couple things. Do you bring Maxey off the bench just to start to get him reacclimated and then see where that leads, or do you throw him right back into the starting lineup?
I have a feeling they're going to put him right back into the starting lineup.
Okay.
I wouldn't be opposed to him coming off the bench to get his sea legs back, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I can't wait till he gets back, and I hope that he's 100% and clicking on all cylinders when he comes back, hitting the ground running.
Because it's an interesting thing what Doc has. I'm sorry, Joe. Because
Al looks. I think Al's checking in. Al says, I think off the bench. Real quick, I wanted to get to Sean Kilran was checking in this morning. Good morning, Sean. He said the Sixers lack the true number 3 option offensively, but as a team knows, Melton is excellent at filling potential holes.
That's
I totally agree.
That's what I was just about to talk about. So Melton is such a dynamic steal. That's the. I want to say that might be the biggest acquisition. Excuse me, in the offseason.
You're right. It was a trade. It was on draft night.
Yeah, Danny Green. And so, but this kid can play defense. He can shoot. He can attack. You can put him on 1 through 3 as far as defending somebody. So it's a great situation. And then Shake Milton is stepping up.
Yeah, he is. He's getting
consistently.
He's getting more consistent every game.
So we know Maxey, when he returns, has to be Maxey, right? He's got to,
Right.
we understand that. We're great with that.
Right.
But then now, how does Doc keep? I think Melton's fine, but how does he continue with Milton? Because you don't want to lose, because you're going to need those guys.
Right.
Yeah, and you want to keep Shake sharp. And if he's
Exactly.
playing consistently, maybe he's your second option when Maxey comes out. You drop, pop Shake in or put them.
Oh yeah, Shake and Melton, because they've
Yeah.
already okay.
What is the timetable for Maxey to come back around Christmas?
I think Rivers is playing possum. The other day, he's like weeks away, and I don't know. I got
And then he said, "I'm
making it up.
That's my uneducated guess."
Yeah, I think he's playing. I think he's gonna be back
so
Christmas.
too. I think he is.
He's in the
too.
gym. He's on the floor.
Wouldn't you save that bullet in the chamber for when you absolutely need to get him going?
If the way they're playing right now, until he feels 100%,
right,
let him.
You don't need that bullet right now.
Yeah, I mean, if he's ready for the playoffs, I mean, like say for example, like the playoffs started today, and he's fully 100%, then I'm all go with
right. But if they're struggling and they need that speed and energy, then maybe you fast track him coming back. But right now,
exactly.
If you're the Sixers,
it doesn't appear that they're going to need him to rush a comeback.
If this was the Sixers 3 weeks ago when they were struggling,
right,
that's when you fast track.
But they righted the ship.
Right. So now you have to, and they got some help back with Embiid and Harden.
Right.
So now you have this, great opportunity, this great option on the table that you don't have to rush a guy like that back, who, inevitably with that foot injury, you want to make sure that guy, because he relies so heavily on his speed, you want to make sure he's good. Like, you really want to make sure that, like, it's safe to put him out there to go full bore.
That's why I was saying, Joe, maybe bring him off the bench just to get him, get his wind back, get his, game shape, and then you can see, you have to put him back on the starting line.
It's so interesting because the way that I've said that this team is built and the roster and the dynamics that it has, or the dynamics that it's capable of having, you are capable of, if you're Doc Rivers, being able to ride the two hands in the starting lineup with Embiid and Harden, and then even flip into a bench rotation with a two-man group with Tobias and Maxey, and still on both fronts, the starting and the backups with those guys, they would have really good rotational guys. Yang, PJ Tucker, Seibel, Melton, Milton. Like, you would have a lot of rotational players that you'd be able to fill. Now, look, everyone would be like, "Are you crazy? You would put Tobias and Maxey in the bench?" But think about what that would do. Like, the other team has to take their stars off the court.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you have this much depth, if you never have to take stars off the court, think about like a year or so ago. What was the one complaint that everyone had? You take everyone off the court all at once. If you do something where you stagger Maxey's minutes by bringing him off the bench when he comes back,
it's a breezy, man.
I don't have a problem with that at all, because my feeling is he's still going to produce. The thing you have to worry about Maxey is he going to be trigger shy? Like, is he going to be willing to pull the trigger? Because when you get hurt, and I can speak from experience, when I broke my ankle and I started to play sports again, I was always hesitant, like, because you don't know how your body's going to react if you make the wrong cut or make the wrong move. And so you're very trigger shy. I worry about Maxey being a little trigger shy. So I worry about get that out of the way before the playoffs, because we need him at full ramped up gear. And look, this is why I'm saying this is on Doc, because just like with Jonathan Gannon, when you're given the toys, when you're given the right pieces, and you don't choose to do everything in your power to succeed, then I am going to hold your feet to the fire.
Well, Joe, here's a beautiful thing that's as you should. But here's a beautiful thing that's transforming right before our eyes. Like, I'm starting to see what guys are really, not only James, learning their roles, but embracing their roles. but really playing to their strengths within their roles. So Joe said something about maybe Tobias coming off the bench. Here's why I like Tobias starting for a number of reasons. Like last night, I said, wow, if he had Tobias out there. Tobias, I don't know if you guys are what Tobias, he's playing him on different, he's using him as a defender as well on these smaller guards, right? So there was a play, I think Joe had to step out to help on was it Poole or one of those guys, but anyway, Wiseman wound up getting a rebound. And I'm saying if Tobias had been in there, that would have prevented that because Joe wouldn't have had to step out. So the reason why I liked him in that starting lineup because it allows the size. We need that size. He's a legitimate 6'10" that can defend a 3 and a 4 and even a 2 or a 1 if need be, because he's lateral like that. So I'm cool with that. But I think that moving forward, Doc has the luxury, and you made a good point, Joe. He has the tools now. This bench last year, think about it, guys. Niang is now in his role. He doesn't have to be the sixth man. He can just go in, play his game.
He's
smart,
a plug and play guy.
do his thing, hit his threes, which we brought him in for. But it was Niang, Korkmaz, and Milton. Shake Milton, excuse me, and maybe Reed and DeAndre Jordan. Right, that was your bench. Now you have a bench of when everybody comes back: Milton, Niang, House Jr., Montrez, and Andor Reed. And these guys are versatile. They're playing well together, and they're pushing the ball, playing defense, and they're maintaining the lead or extending the lead. And that's all you want from your bench. So.
Absolutely.
And Montrez, I think, doesn't get as much playing times as he should.
I think that's by design. Though.
No, I get it. And
both of them.
If you save that for later on, and you have that gas later on, I mean,
going to need them. You're going to need them.
Here's my question, really. Do the Sixers, I mean, with the East being the beast of the East, being the way it is with the conference, do the Sixers ever choose to pull a Popovich with the old Spurs mentality of having, like, okay, big man, you sit down for a day. Like, here's a day off. Like,
well, here's the thing. I was going to talk about that. I don't think Embiid probably don't want to have like a day off unless he necessarily needs to. So I think that's the probably way I take it out of it, because like usually before, like when he was like Brett Brown would do, is like he'll not play him on back to backs, and was kind of like, okay, he's not playing here, but he's playing here. And I was like, okay, so why
is he not playing? Embiid didn't want that, James.
The Popovich disciple doing what Popovich did.
Exactly. Embiid did not want that. He spoke out about it. It frustrated him.
Yeah,
Allah talks about it. Mark Jackson says it takes you out of rhythm. And he's like, no, I want to play. Like there'll be a game or two. I think I'm giving you an example. I said this to my wife last night. She goes, is Tobias really hurt? I said, maybe. I don't know. Doc said he found out before the game.
Yeah.
But this is what I think happens sometimes. They go, Green is out. Draymond Green is out.
Curry's
out. Iguodala's out.
Wiggins
is out.
I was going to say Wiggins too.
Tobias, we get this. Rest that back. We're going to need you against Toronto because we're going to kick Siakam in the. You know what I'm saying, dude? Joe, real quick. I'm not going to be at the game on Monday, but if you're down there, are you ready to rumble Siakam for what he did to your boy in the playoffs last year? And Joe is just sitting up here putting his tongue in his chin as if like, dude, what do you think that's going to sound like when they announce his name at the Wells Fargo Center?
Oh, man.
I'm serious, dude. Like, people, we don't forget.
You remember Rocky 1, how bad it was in the crowd, in the Spectrum?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be that loud. I mean, you might as well just get the Rocky music.
They're going to boo him, right?
Oh, my God.
Out the building.
Look.
Right out the building.
He might want to pull Ben Simmons and just come in a ridiculous streak.
Look,
there's make an excuse.
They're going to be booing so loud, he's going to be putting up shots.
Shipping knocks down 2 in a row, and the Raiders lead only by 20 with 20 seconds to go. So Serrano making things happen for the Aces, and they trail only by 20.
Dave Yarno
for 3. Oh. That's a brick and a half, Johnny.
All the time. I didn't like when a guy plays the ball.
So that's how Pascal Siakam's going to look.
Some unknown person getting getting sports criticism from Davis.
even when Dave's not here.
I got your back, Dave.
Even when Dave's not
I
here.
got you.
Hey, the pass. It was a bounce pass that he caught in his hands. If you got to hit the rim at least.
Wow.
He burnt a hole in the side of the net with that shot.
He said, wow. He said, wow.
Thanks, Ben Simmons.
He said, wow.
Sorry, Dave.
Wow.
Sorry, not sorry.
He could have that shot back.
I
would have loved to have seen the camera on Kobe.
How pissed off do you think Dave is at Al that he put that video up there?
No, Dave was the one who told us.
No, I know, but
Al took
But Al's the one that found
Al
it.
went and found it.
Al went and dug in the vault. Right?
Yes. Deep into the vault.
This is why I'm so glad there's no footage of me and Tom playing at Bear. Like it would be so much worse.
Oh, God.
I would play it every single.
Oh, I know.
Every
I bet you
week.
will.
I know.
I would have segments set up around it.
Just so you think it can't get any funnier.
You know, I was thinking about doing a segment like I don't know, not like Kyle Quinn does Dumbass of the Day, but I would want to do a segment where it was like I don't know, like a blooper, like the whoops moment of the week, and start it with that clip every time, which I still might do.
Look, hey, with Siakam, the one difference, though, Dame, the one difference is that he's going to have an issue if he even tries to do anything like he pulled in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because now you have two bodyguards in PJ Tucker and Montrezl Harrell. You don't think that's
call?
You don't think that they know that Siakam is a dirty player?
So are you saying PJ Tucker is the Craig Berube of the Philadelphia 76ers?
Craig Berube, that's a goat.
I'm thinking Dan Carcillo.
Oh, wow.
Dan Carcillo?
Dan
Wow.
Carcillo.
I like him.
A little Carcillo action.
Matt Stevens?
Oh, no.
All right. My last question before we transition into the best football team of the land.
That's right.
Is Doc Rivers officially tagged safe from? Is Doc Rivers going to get fire talks for the rest of the season? Look at Joey's face.
For the rest of the season?
Nah,
Yeah, he's safe for the rest of the season.
I think he's okay. I think he's safe.
Yeah, he's
Dave Yarnell, Sweet Home Chicago. What's going on, fellas? I don't know, Dave. You tell me
in
what's
Chicago?
going on. No, he's not in Chicago. The Eagles are playing Chicago.
He's rooting for the
I know,
Bears.
I'm breaking his
He's
balls.
rooting for the Bears. He rooted for the Giants last week.
Yeah,
We'll
he
get to
did.
that.
You saw how that worked out.
He's not here
Be
today.
happy you're not here today, Dave.
Dave.
Quarterback.
Hey, Dave,
Don't get me
how
started.
close of a game was that, man? I mean,
Woo!
the East.
A lot.
How close of a game?
Nowhere near as close as
question.
you guys in the Texans.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Good question.
But no, CK, he's fine. Now,
Love you, Dave.
How
we love you, dude.
Have they not turned it around? It would have been a question, but right now he's good.
Okay.
He's good. He's got his pieces
So
back.
so
This ain't
so
gonna work.
he's safe. All right. Well,
But it's playoffs. It's playoffs. It's the playoffs is where it's gonna. I hear you, Joe. I see you, Joe. I see you, Joe.
No.
I see you, Joe.
Doc Rivers will never be safe in Joey's eyes. And that's
No, because look, he makes boneheaded decisions. And Dame, you've jumped on him
I
about
had
a
to,
couple
yeah.
of those boneheaded
It's
decisions.
frustrating to see.
And the one thing that I've heard is that the people around him,
Mhm.
like a Sam Cassell,
And Dave,
Dave Yeager.
Dave is safe.
Those guys are the real backbone of this coaching staff.
I always
That's
whenever
what I was just saying. Like you could tell that they're really starting to like.
I'm not
Yeager last
giving-
night was talking a little bit more to the players.
Yeah.
Like you're starting to see a little bit.
I'm not
more.
giving Doc that those kudos because Doc's not the one going, look, throwing up your hands up in the air because you're frustrated about the refs. That's not coaching. That's just complaining.
whenever I hear Sam Cassell's name, I always think of Jada Kiss saying, "Because like Sam, I could sell."
Yeah. That's
Yo,
right.
Dave Yarnell
Love
says
that.
Doc is safe, Joey.
That's just coming from Dave, who always says, I don't know, man. 3-1. 3-1,
Does
Joe.
Doc even deserve to be there, David? That's just a pun on Dave and his Philly state.
Yeah.
That's all.
But guess what? If they make the playoffs
Mhm.
in this East, they will deserve to be there. Any
Yeah,
team that makes
right,
the playoffs
right.
in this East
But they need
deserves
be-
to be
They
there.
need to be top 3 though, and I think they will.
that'll give them at least home court in
Yeah,
the
they
first
top court.
round. But look, the thing that's scary is the Cavs. The Cavs.
Really?
Well, listen.
No,
Did you expect them to be as good as they are?
Here's what I feel about the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell. He's a great player in the regular season, but I question him in the playoffs. That's just, I don't know.
He was on a
Utah,
really
That's true.
questionable team too. I mean, Utah did not do him any favors.
No, they didn't. But I mean, listen. The Sixers are better than the Cavs. I'm not worried about them. To me, the teams, and I'm starting to figure out Boston's a 3-point shooting team. I know they lost to Orlando last night, but that's coming off the road. They're way better than Orlando. I'm not going to read.
Orlando's going to surprise some people in the next year or two.
Yeah, but it's like
not now.
It's going to boil down to, in our opinion, Boston's going to be there, of course. Milwaukee will be there. The Sixers will definitely be there, and
Brooklyn's
maybe one other
making
team.
a run too.
Brooklyn's making a run, but I can't put my finger on them.
Well, because one person thinks the earth is flat and the other one just wants out of town, and the other one can't shoot.
Doesn't shoot.
The real life Three Stooges.
Well, we'll learn a lot more.
And Ben Simmons is Shemp. But
Ben Simmons is Shemp.
Simmons is Shemp.
But this is
that's an insult to Shemp, dude.
Yeah. Larry Fine, Philadelphia.
Yes.
From Philadelphia.
Shout out. But I mean, listen. The East is going to be tough regardless.
Oh yeah.
But look, this one final question, because we just made the rule about Embiid. Will Embiid get gypped of the MVP again this year?
Yeah, I think they already put Tatum's ahead. They got Luka ahead.
I rest my case.
Jokic is going to be ahead.
Yeah, that's
I know. I didn't want to say his name to get you because I get gas. I want you to say that for the Eagles. But the thing about it with the Cowboys next week. But no, you know what, Joe? Honestly, I don't even care anymore.
Nope.
I'd rather hear him get the MVP and the championship. I don't even care anymore.
I'm with
I know it's the
Finals MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
And they renamed the award.
I don't like that, by the way.
That's dumb.
Michael Jordan did say he didn't want the award to look like him. They want him.
The trophy, like they showed the trophy of the Michael Jordan trophy. It's like I don't even.
Yeah, he didn't want it to
look like.
He didn't want it to look like him. He said he didn't want it to look like him. But here's the thing about the Six Man of the Year
award. They should
award.
do it after Kobe.
The 6 Man.
That's what I was surprised at.
Surprised about that too.
Whole thing
they
with
gave
the
him the
NBA.
All-Star game win.
All-Star game.
But the thing about the 6 Man of the Year award, which puzzles me, they created that for Bobby Jones.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like Bobby, they came up with that because Bobby Jones was so good, was the first 6 Man of the Year.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why wouldn't you name it after Bobby Jones?
Yeah, instead you named
who's in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
Instead you named it after a guy who's
like I don't know, I didn't get that.
Havlicek or whatever.
And by the way, I'm sorry, you should name one after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's only the all-time leading
Well,
scorer.
someone brought this up.
Like they never give this guy kudos.
Bill Russell.
Dave is now sending me lyrics to Sweet Home Chicago. And asking me to sing it.
Someone brought this up on WIP.
And used to be on a mission from the devil,
how
not
does
from
Bill
God.
Russell not get an award named after him?
Yeah.
How does Bill Russell or Oscar Robertson not get an award named after them? After all they've done for the
that's
NBA.
a good line. That's actually a very good line.
Yeah, man.
That's a good quote.
It's mind-boggling.
I mean,
I'm like either do it right or don't do it at all.
Right.
Exactly.
It's almost criminal.
Yeah,
it really is. And speaking of criminal law, workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, and personal injury, give our guy David R. Cherry Esquire a call at 610-565-0300, www.cherryinjurylaw.com. Tell Dave that the boys at Pattison Ave EOP sent you.
And don't worry, the Dallas Cowboys will call because they're going to have broken hearts after next weekend.
Exactly. Al, there's a football team in this town.
Yes, sir.
There is a football team in this town.
Yes, sir.
That is playing incredible football. And if our good friend Dave Yarnell, who has been checking in all morning,
waving pom-poms for the Bears.
Waving pom-poms for a 3-win Bears team. The Eagles were supposed to lose to the Giants last week, and they put up 40
their quarterback, mind you.
points.
And bench their
48
quarterback.
points. They almost threw a 50 burger up on the Giants. And the Giants aren't slouches this year like they've been in years past. And the Eagles don't do very well in recent history up in North Jersey. But watching that game, I literally was laughing and shaking my head at points in this game because it was such a one-sided, not even close. The Eagles won every quarter. All 4 quarters, they won each one individually, outscoring the Giants.
Yep.
Holding Saquon Barkley to 29 yards.
But I thought we should fear Saquon.
We should. We were supposed to.
I thought we were supposed to fear King Angus.
Now, do you guys think that Chris Sims and the rest of the national media are making it their personal vendetta against the Eagles and Jalen Hurts?
I'll defer that to Joey, and
I'll let Joey have the stand on this one.
You want me to go? I'll go.
No, I can go get breakfast now because he's going to go on a 25-minute rant.
No, I'll go. So first of all, Chris Sims, I believe he played for Tampa for 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, so like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, 25, 15 with a lunch break. Listen, dude, your father, who I actually respected because he was a good quarterback, not a great, but a good quarterback. I shared this with my coworker yesterday. His dad was so good that we were playing him one time, the Birds and the Giants. I was up in New York in school at the time, and he was killing this, man. And I said, just knock him out the game, Big Joe. Don't injure him. Just get him out the game. I kid you not. God rest his soul, Reggie White, and him knocked him out. And he went to the locker room. He wasn't a season injured, but he couldn't play the rest of the game. And
Clickbait.
They brought in who was the backup at that time? I can't get his name.
Jeff Hostetler.
Jeff Hostetler. Thank you. And we wound up winning the game. Now going back to Sims, this is nothing but clickbait, like he said. For you to name those other players and not acknowledge the great season this young man is having, it's clearly hate. I mean, listen, those Cowboys teams that we make fun of and all that, the triplets, they were great. They were great teams,
yeah,
man.
They were.
I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but dude's a great quarterback. How do you not acknowledge talent, greatness, and then you played the sport, Chris Sims? I mean, go sit down somewhere, dude.
You better check. You better check them DNA records. Jeff Hostetler might be your actual father. Not even that. He can thank him for the Super Bowl.
Where's Maury Povich when you need him?
It was Nick Foles of the '80s.
Phil, when the test results come back for Chris,
you are not.
You are not the father.
I told you.
Oh my God!
He said, Jeff,
who's my dad?
I mean, this kid plays for 15 minutes, and all of a sudden he's an expert.
And another quote of Maury Povich: "What Chris Sims said yesterday, that was a lie."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
you know
Absolutely. And it's obvious. It's obvious that they're just trying to get people to pay attention to what they're saying. And like Al said, clickbait for sure. But it still chaps your ass a little bit. It's like, look, we know you're trolling us. We are smarter than this, but go.
Look,
I don't get it, TK. I don't get it.
The irrational, uneducated, ignorant type of opinion that these
use that simple education. Go ahead.
That these asinine people, want to use. Listen, dude, you were even a mediocre quarterback, Chris Sims. You were a backup. You were a lifetime backup. People never said Chris Sims is a franchise quarterback. So how are you able to judge what a franchise quarterback looks like? How are you able to judge what a top 5 quarterback looks like when you haven't even cracked the top 50? Listen, dude, before you put out anything, listen to me clearly. You should know what talent looks like because you've been around other people that were more talented than you for your entire career. Understand this. Jalen Hurts, I sat in this chair in the beginning prior to this season and said, Jalen Hurts will be a top 5 quarterback in this league this year. Some people laughed me off. Some people said, well, okay, maybe. This is a guy who's not only dedicated himself to being excellent at his position, not only has he dedicated himself to improving where he needed to improve. Look, when Frank was here last season, he was saying, Joe, This is where Jalen has to improve. And until he improves on these, I'm out. He improved on every one of those checklists that Frank had put out, that many people had put out. Throwing people open, throwing the deep ball, not just running all the time. This is a guy that knows what winning is and what winning looks like. This guy is a hungry person, a hungry athlete for greatness. I'm not saying he's great right now. I'm not willing to put that moniker on him right now. Neither is he. You have to earn longevity of greatness. Tom Brady is great because of all the championships he's won. That longevity is proven that why he's great. Is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback in this league? Absolutely. Is he MVP candidate? Absolutely. Is he one of the best quarterbacks in this league right now today? Yes. And for any knucklehead, any national pundit that thinks, well, that's a joke. Well, then you need to start looking. You said this, Dame, about the national media and the Sixers. Maybe the national media needs to start really watching the Eagles games instead of just like skimming them with the 12-minute, highlight package that YouTube provides. Listen, this is a guy in Jalen Hurts that has done things that many quarterbacks in this league have not done. He's among names that many people wouldn't think he would be among.
Dave Yarnell checks in and says, all that and tomorrow he will throw 3 picks. So he's going to throw as many picks tomorrow as he's thrown all season?
Yeah.
Dave,
I just wrote that down.
Dave,
Yeah,
is that-
22 touchdowns, 3
is that what
interceptions.
you're-
let me
saying?
say this. Let me say
Yeah,
this.
James. Go get him.
Dave.
James.
Are you really kidding me? Are you talking about a quarterback that only threw 3 picks all year, or your quarterback throwing 3 picks in one game? Come on, Dave. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I understand you love your Cowboys, but dude, you're tripping, dude. I mean, you were saying this is the same. You're saying the same thing about Gardner Minshew should come in the game. Like,
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts playing at an MVP
Guess what?
level.
He actually did come in the game.
Yeah,
So Dave
that's
was
what-
right. Dave was right.
Dave. Thank you,
So he
buddy.
was right.
You got
Yeah,
your wish, buddy.
He came in the game.
Yeah.
We
Come
got Gardner some snaps. Don't
No.
worry about it.
No, James and Joe make great points. The other thing, so I'm gonna
Stop, dude.
I'm gonna piggyback. It's going back to Joel Embiid first. So Joel Embiid this week says some fans want him traded, but Joel. Tyrone Johnson says he believes that people are saying what they're saying about Joe because they thought he was going to always be injured, not become the player that he's turned into. Let me flip this over to Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Last year, I said, this is what I need to see from him.
Mhm.
Joe laid it out. Don't need to repeat it. Guy checked in all the boxes.
Mhm.
No one ever said he wasn't capable of it. This is what we needed to see.
Right.
In all fairness, TK, we also acknowledge the fact that he had never been in the same system more than 2 years. Well, lo and behold, he's the first time since he was 16 years old, he's been in the same system.
Mhm.
Oh, Todd Bowles, whose team may not be in first place. You said he couldn't read a defense. He's now figured it out. He goes to his coach and his offensive coordinator and says, hey, man, this is working. That's working. Let's continue to do this. And oh, by the way, Dave, they actually listen to him. I don't see Dak Prescott talking to McCarthy.
Preach, buddy. Preach.
I don't see that. So when you guys, the Chris Sims, want to diminish this man's work, we as Eagle fans, because he's family, we're offended. You're picking on one of the family members for no reason. Give him credit.
Right.
Give this young man credit.
Right.
You don't have to like the Eagles. You don't have to be a fan of the Eagles. But man, if you're a fan of the sport, there's no way you cannot acknowledge there's only 2 teams, Joe. There's only 2 teams out there that I think can challenge this right now. And both those teams are in the AFC. And that's Kansas City and that's Chicago. So, Dave, I love you, brother. But here's the deal. I don't fear the Bears. Don't fear your Cowboys. Don't fear the Vikings. San Francisco, bring it on if you want.
Hey,
You got to come through the link, and I don't think you want to do that.
here's something for you. Dak
Salute.
Prescott has played 6 games this season.
Oh, my bad, brother. Yes, sir.
Dak Prescott has played 6 games
Thank you.
this season. Jalen Hurts has played 13 games. I'm sorry, 13 games this season. 14. Jalen Hurts has thrown 3 interceptions in 13 games. Dak Prescott has thrown 9 interceptions in
Close to
6
Thank
games.
you.
And close to 4,000 yards.
9 interception in 6 games.
Look.
I think you should be worrying about your quarterback.
Nine interceptions.
9
To this young man,
interceptions. To his 3, and he played
Three.
double the games your quarterback has
You
played.
know, the one
and
thing
has
is
a third of the interceptions.
And he has the ball in his hand every possession.
You don't want to talk numbers with me.
You know, the one thing that really bothers me about it, he says that he'll throw 3 picks, but Dak Prescott has 6 of them all together times 6 times 3 and 9.
It's not.
6 plus 3, excuse me. But I mean, it's just like
Now you got James doing math. For Christ's sake.
yeah, I know my arithmetic. Yeah, I know. No, but all joking aside, but I mean, come on, Dave. I mean, Dave said it perfectly. I mean, you don't have to like the Eagles, but you have to respect Jalen Hurts' ability to show what he has in store. Look, I'll be honest with you. I thought Michael Irvin back in the day, I couldn't stand him because he was a Cowboy, but I like him now because he's a good broadcaster.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I don't want anything bad happening to Michael Irvin.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
And it's the same thing with this Eagles club. I mean, look, you can like Jalen Hurts, but you can hate the Eagles as well. That's the one thing I take out of it. I mean, if you can just say that, oh, Dak Prescott's better than Jalen Hurts, I'm like, okay, show me those stats.
Yeah.
Show me.
Show me the games.
Like,
Show me the reason.
show me the reason. Yeah,
Because-
like Ray Liotta, like Tommy DeVito would say, show me how. Show me how.
Yeah, show me how.
Because
Tell me.
Here's my feeling, and I, this is why I felt the way that I did for so long about Jalen is because this is a guy that had 100 touchdowns in his collegiate career. He played for 2
Jeez.
prominent programs in Oklahoma and Alabama.
Yep.
You can't get much bigger than those
And
2
played in
programs.
both championship
And
games.
started in both programs, not like backed up and whatnot. No, started.
If
in
anybody
both
brings up,
programs.
if everybody talks about Jalen Hurts as a Georgia, like with Georgia Bulldogs fans, they would say he was an elite quarterback. That's for damn sure.
Right. But here's my feeling. Not only do you go into the SEC in Alabama, then you
Right, you
go
go to
into,
Oklahoma too.
then you go to
right.
Oklahoma,
Right.
and here we go in this logic.
He took it to Dable last week.
This is why, and I wanted to bring this up to Tom
Mhm.
because Tom loved, back in the day with Carson, you were a big Carson fan, and I wasn't. And one of the reasons why I wasn't was, and we have had this conversation, it was big fish in a small pond in the Dakota, and then small fish in large ocean when moving to Philly. How's he going to handle the pressure? Well, look, Jalen Hurts is from Texas, which football is king in Texas in high school football. And then he goes to 2 prominent programs in Alabama and Oklahoma. This guy was bred for the big moments. He was bred to be this guy in this situation and not let the moment get too big.
Ain't it the irony that I'm going to talk about the other team for just a sec that we had another coach from North Dakota and he didn't play, he didn't coach well, but he didn't like live up to the hype. But it's the same thing with Carson Wentz too.
Right.
Like the Carson
Hockey
Wentz
coach, yeah,
factor
hockey coach.
is that like you nailed it on the head, basically saying that he went to a small school and he never like had to play like the teams like Oklahoma, Ohio State, or even Alabama.
Well, he never even had the
But-
education because you got to
Right.
remember the
Right.
quarterback rooms Jalen Hurts was in.
Yeah.
You have Kyler Murray, you have
To
Tua,
attack Tagovailoa.
you have a lot of those guys. Right.
Nick Saban.
You have guys that
and Lincoln Riley.
right. You
Yeah,
have guys
yeah,
that
yeah.
are minds
Mhm.
for this team, and he was raised with a coach as a father.
Right.
So this is a guy who thinks about football, constantly.
Yeah.
And this is not just a side hustle.
Right.
Like I think Carson felt like this was a side hustle because he did all his clothing line and all of this, and he wanted the fame and the fortune, but he didn't want the things that went along with it.
You know, the other thing I take out of it too. I'm sorry.
No,
to
you're
keep
good.
on
You're
interrupting.
good. No, you're good.
No, but the other thing I take out of it too is that when you usually used to say, "I got to see the tape," it's like, are you actually seeing the tape
Yeah.
though? Are you
No.
actually
Yeah.
reading the
have-
plays
No.
like Jalen Hurts is? I don't think so.
I have one more thing for you to put the whole Dak Prescott thing to bed real quick. If
Sure,
Dak
Go
Prescott
ahead.
has a 4-2 record this year.
Mhm.
4-2, right? 6
I don't
games.
know.
He's
I'm
played
not
6
sure.
games.
I think
4
so.
and 2 record. What does that make Cooper Rush's record if they're 10-3? 6-1.
Good point.
And he lost to the Eagles. And they should have lost. By the way, the Texans need a butt whipping for not scoring on 4th and goal last week. But that's for another day.
That's fine.
I'm gonna go back to something Joe said. And
Cameras in the bag.
Yeah,
Put him in a bedroom.
yeah.
Exactly.
Put him, take him for a ride. So
Take him for
I like keep people for a ride. Put them in the trunk. But no, Joe. So I'm like TK. I definitely liked Carson, right?
Yeah.
But something Joe said that I often wondered about was that being from a small town, could that affect you? However, Joe, to counter that, I think it's the person. To me, and it still is in my eyes to a sense, the greatest football player to ever play the game, Jerry Rice, came from a small town, from a small program. Now, granted,
Carmichael too.
Howard Carmichael, right? And so I think that, and I know Philly's a different town. I'm glad James went to Howard Carmichael because it's hard to play here. It's hard to coach here. We've all acknowledged that. We know that to be true.
Right.
But I think with Carson, things may have come so easy to him that when it was time, Joe, to actually really go into James' point, look at the tape. One of the things, and I share this with my students, and I've learned this as an adult in my later years, it's okay to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
We're taught as a child to don't make a mistake, don't drop the spoon, don't drop your fork, and we become afraid to make a mistake. But I've learned in life, I've learned from my mistakes, and still working on some of them. But for the most part, I'm not saying you set out to go to error. You don't set out to fail the test.
Right.
But there's no pressure. So going with Jalen, I mean, yeah, he figures like this. And you guys used to hear me say this. The way you practice, particularly in that sport, is the way you play. I felt like Carson, when Doug was with him, was practicing the way he was playing, TK. And you can see it on the field. With this young man, he's practicing the way he's playing. That's why when AJ cuts across the field and the ball is right there, that's why when Devontae's running down and the ball is right there, that's why he can see and read on me, check down, I'm going to hit Sanders. Like, he's seeing so many things. He's telling Ty Bowles to take that up there now because I know the system.
Yep.
Once I know the system, he's almost like like Peyton Manning. He can decide. Real quick, last week, this was beautiful. They said that he and Kelsey were on the sideline talking, Joe. The very next drive is when he runs the touchdown in. Because they saw something. Kelsey goes, look, man, I'm taking this left side or whatever, this right side, just follow through, I got you. I mean, this is amazing to watch.
Kelsey said that he had seen the Mike linebacker creep up, and he and Jalen went onto the sidelines and basically said, we're going to come up with a signal that when I know, and then we're going to move on it. And all I need you to do is just be behind me.
Come on.
And that's a guy that, look,
come on.
This is how I would like to kind of simplify this. So with the whole Carson Wentz thing, my feeling is, look at like when you guys go to your job. When you first start a new job, what happens? You get trained. You get trained on how to do the job by a person who's done the job for a while.
Right.
If you're trained well, you're going to be a good worker. If you're trained poorly or by a lazy person, you're going to do the job poorly. My feeling is, and no disrespect to North Dakota or Dakotas or whatever, to those smaller schools, but when you have stronger minds, when you have a work ethic that you have to stick with in order to survive in Alabama or Oklahoma. Because look, if Jalen Hurts took a week off in Alabama or Oklahoma, he'd be benched. He'd be done. And that's the difference. You have to play at a high level. And you know, Dave, I will tell you this. I will put Dak Prescott in the same category as Carson Wentz right now. They're both pretenders, not contenders. They're both people that think they should have things handed to them versus wanting to work for them. And Jalen Hurts will always be a contender for an MVP, for a Super Bowl, for whatever he wants, as long as he has that mentality that I'm going to work, that I'm going to improve. This guy has improved leaps and bounds in this short of time.
Leaps and bounds is a drastic understatement. David saying, "Are you serious?" Hold on. Leaps and bounds is a drastic understatement. Put it into terms. He went from being in summer school last season to getting his master's degree this season.
Whoa.
It is not even.
So give it 2 more
I
years.
swear to God, it's a clone, and he's not even the same
Right.
person. Now.
So give it 2 more years.
Right.
And what do you expect
Again,
then?
remaining in the same system.
Right. And like, who's going anywhere other than Jeff Statlin? And even if Jeff Statlin leaves,
Joe's causing a statewide war with the Dakotas. Thanks, Joe.
sorry,
That's Al.
sorry. So it's okay. They have Mount Rushmore.
But
Yeah.
to
You
Joe's,
got Dave Hackstall on course. So
Yeah.
that's what he was referring to when you said that. I knew that.
Wow.
But to Joe's point about him putting in this work, it's
I know
like,
I'm a dick. I'm sorry.
Fine. Fine. You said it, not me. I wasn't going to go there, but
I'll
you.
take the blame. It's
Yeah, no,
okay.
you're fine.
I'll save you.
You're fine.
I'll save you.
Somebody's got to. Might as well be you, James.
hold on to it, man.
Well, you can blame me for 1995 too, Dave, because I'm the cowboy killer,
Boom.
and I wear like a badge of honor.
Roasted. I would wear it.
No, but just to your point in terms of like the other thing people have to factor in with this sport, and we've all seen great quarterbacks, great teams. And, that's the situation at hand. A quarterback, he takes the blame when the team is doing well. Takes the blame when the team is not doing well.
Right.
So, but this team, how can I say? I never felt like, and I hate to keep doing this because he's retired. He's had his life, but I just got to use it. I never felt like the Eagles' totality was behind McNabb. I never felt like I felt certain players were, but as a totality, I can honestly admit that. Now, I didn't want to say it at the time when he was playing. And this is not, I'm not knocking McNabb. Some people, everyone's not built to be a leader, right? Everyone's built to be, some people are built to just perfect their role, right? To be a leader is not easy. And my brother, who's a Master Chief, he retired from the Navy 2 years ago now, this month actually, but was a Master Chief. He ran the ship, and I know, and me knowing my brother and knowing how he thinks, like he was built for that, right? I can honestly say that. He asked a lot of questions, and I can see him doing that and doing it well, and he was recognized for it. I believe that this young man not only has a team in totality behind him, we see it week by week when we're down, TK. He goes, all right, Steichen, that last series I didn't like, I'm driving us downfield to score. And he does it. He does it. Not 1 week, Joe. Not 2 weeks, James. He's done it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. I mean, as far as the game, as far as like to get us to the 12 victories.
The one thing,
this is amazing.
the one thing that
really amazing,
really hasn't been answered by many people. Okay, if you don't want to respect Jalen, what else does he have to prove?
Michael Parsons.
Well, that's
that didn't bother me, by the way. I listened to it.
Listen, you got handled. And you may not want to admit that, but you got handled.
Oh, yeah, he didn't get a sack on him that day, did he?
No, he didn't get touched. He didn't touch him.
And we let him free, didn't we?
Yeah. But Jalen was actually the one that came to Statlin and said, I want you to do this with Micah. And listen, if you're Jeff Statlin, your job as the O-line coach is to protect your quarterback. If your quarterback's coming to you and said, let him free. Excuse me? What are you talking about? Let him. Do you not know who you're setting loose? He's like, let him free. I'll handle it. This is a guy that does things very calculating. And this is why I go, okay, what else do you want him to do?
So that's going under the radar that they let him free. Because weeks leading up to that game, Michael Parsons. I'm like, all right, okay, I know he's good, but okay,
But this is not DeMarcus Lawrence we're talking about here.
Well, Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor, thank you.
That's not Lawrence. Like, I've seen Lawrence Taylor live like that. Right. If someone tried to compare him, I'm like, he's good, but don't do that.
Listen, Von Miller, on Von Miller's podcast, Micah is basically asked, is it the player? Like, is it the player or the system? And he's basically like, it's a little bit of both. I'm like, but guess what? It may be a little bit of both, but you could have a great system and a really shitty player.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but you can. Look at what system you're in. Look at what system that Dak's in. Look, I feel like if Dak was in a better system, he would probably be a
So-
better quarterback.
So, Joe, let's explore that for a second. We had a coach here by the name of Chip Kelly, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I hope you didn't eat your breakfast already. 'Cause I don't want
Mm.
to- but we had a coach here by the name of Chip Kelly who clearly believed that his system was better than the players.
Mm-hmm.
You gave away 2 dynamic players. You gave away Deshaun in his prime and Shady McCoy the following year in his
Mhm.
prime.
And
Which-
Foles.
And Foles, which was the dumbest move. And thank goodness Jeffrey Lurie said, wait a second, get out of here. So at one time, Andy Reid was spilling that too. My system, we don't need a linebacker. So when coaches do that, to me, it's ego. It's my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to this, yeah, it's a system. But to Joe's point, the player has to play the game and put in the work to perfect the system or to execute the system
Right.
to where it's a winning system. So for Michael Parsons, that's like saying, "Oh, I can put Damon Salim in there and he'll run the system." No, you can't,
Right.
because I'm not gonna tell Steichen, "Oh, let Parsons roam," because I don't know what to do with that. But obviously, this young man did.
Yeah.
So there's a science to what he's doing. And when someone just says it's the system, yeah, okay, fine, let it be. You don't think it was a part of a system with Brady up in New England, but it was also the player.
Yeah. And it's interesting because this is a guy that in my mind is dissecting each game one game at a time. Everyone was in the media this week has been asking the Eagles, so what do you guys think about the Cowboys and the Christmas Eve game and what could happen if you guys win the Chicago and the Dallas game with locking up the number 1 seed and home field advantage and everything in the bye. Every single person that got interviewed and asked that question was like, "We're not looking past Chicago. We got Chicago this week.
Yeah.
We'll handle
did you hear what
Dallas when
Jordan-
Dallas comes."
Did you hear what Jordan Mailata said? He said, "We're
Yeah.
not playing the
Michael Parsons.
Chicago Michael Parsons."
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, I could care. He's like, honestly, I don't care. You can throw anybody at me, and I'm going to treat them all the same. And that's the difference. This is the mentality that Hurts. Excuse me. The mentality that Hurts has had in this season is infectious to every player in that locker room, because now it's not just Jalen Hurts going on a one-man commando mission. It's we're all doing this together. And he's not going to get too high and he's not going to get too low, because honestly, the mission is not done until you have a Super Bowl. And you don't think that Jalen Hurts isn't hearing all the naysayers, all the Chris Sims, the Michael Irvins, the Skip Baylesses, the whoever. He's hearing them, but he's not acknowledging what it's doing to him. He's saying, "Okay, cool. That's fine. You have your opinion. That's fine. I'm good with it. I'll live with it. I'll deal with it." And look, all due respect to Pat Mahomes and
Josh
Joe
Allen.
Burrows and Josh Allen and whatnot, this guy is going to be the future of what this league looks like. Jalen Hurts, not a Lamar Jackson where you take the majority of his weapons away in Hollywood Brown and whatnot. You have put assets around Jalen Hurts, and now he's just going to pay dividends. I mean, we are. I hate to put it this way because I don't like Alabama, but we are the Alabama of the NFL.
I want you guys to pay attention to the screen real quick. And Joey, I understand in
I know.
your current situation, this might be a little bit difficult for you. This picture right here probably is the reason why I love this quarterback the most. 21-0, you're up. Everyone's having a great time and laughing.
And it's on the iPad.
And his look at his face.
He's stern and focused.
Look at AJ Brown is cracking up.
Yeah. Laser focused. See, I talked about that.
You know, there was a time. I mean,
Good point.
I never liked the Capitals, but I respect them. the guy reminded me of what Braden Holper used to do when he used to stare at the net and look at the stick all the time. He would be like looking at the puck. Like it actually was good puck retrieval. That to me is like laser focused because I see like they're all like you said they're all joking around and he's just stone cold focused.
Totally locked in.
Locked
Up
in.
35
Exactly
points.
The
right.
guy is so in the moment, like no one I've ever seen.
And
I've been watching football my whole life.
And you notice he can be locked in, but he doesn't judge his teammates.
No, because
he goes, "You do you.
Yes,
I'm going to do me.
Yes,
and you're not going to deter me from being me. This is who I am." The one thing that I noticed, and I said this from the debut of Jalen Hurts, it was like the tone of the team changed. It was like when Carson went out and Jalen went in, all of a sudden the team was like,
Joey. I agree.
Okay, we're with
again.
you.
I'm ready to play again.
Right. We're good. Like we went from the spoiled brat who, wanted to have things handed to them. And this is why I feel the way that I do about the Cowboys is because they're 10-3 and they're being talked about like they're 13-0.
Right.
And that is a ridiculous stance to take. You are just because you're the Dallas freaking Cowboys doesn't mean a damn thing to me. If you're not sitting there, I could listen. Because you have a star on the side of your helmet and we have stars in our flag, don't make you a damn America's team. We're the freaking bald eagle is a symbol for this nation, and we're the freaking Eagles. So guess what? Suck on it.
Oh
hell yeah!
I don't know how to follow that.
Yeah, I don't know how to react to that either. Yeah. This would be the automatic mic drop if we had mics.
Listen, so I like what they said. But here's what I believe this is what I did not want to happen, but it's going to happen. I wanted us to have everything locked up, but apparently, so we win tomorrow. We're going to win tomorrow. I have no doubt about that. Not going to win. That's fair. That's fair. But
it's going to be a good game.
I believe that Michael Parsons, excuse me, has what's that saying? Kick the sleeping bear or whatever or something.
Poke the sleeping bear or
poke
the sleeping
bear,
giant.
So they'll take the frustrations out tomorrow on the Bears. But believe you me, man, Dave, I hope you're listening. They're gonna beat the snot out of the Cowboys next week, and I'm gonna tell you why. You can thank your Penn State buddy, Michael Parsons, because me knowing that team, they didn't have behind the door meetings, Joe. And they're going up there to handle, but they're going to take a business tomorrow. We got to take it Chicago, like they said. They weren't lying. But they're going to beat the snot out of the Cowboys.
What is always said? Don't give the other team bulletin board material.
Exactly.
And you just put gasoline on an inferno.
Hal wrote, "James, don't drop my mic." well, they're expensive, James. Yeah, we'll drop a pen. And there you go.
That's fair.
I mean, listen, this is a team that is going to be highly motivated. Now, here is my only concern. Once we lock things up, we're going to start resting people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rest first, rust. It's
Welcome back.
Always the debate.
I know, but here. Isn't that a great problem to have?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
If you can have that rest versus rust problem,
right.
I would much rather have that issue going into the playoffs than any of the other potential ones.
You know why I don't worry about that with this team, Joe? And this valid, because I think like that too. Remember I said get the loss out the way. I think that this team, something about them, even though they're working for the bye, right? That's what they want.
Right.
And they're aware of that. So this way they know what they have to do in order to maintain that focus in practice while they're on that bye. They're going to get it.
I still don't know what team in the NFC is going to beat them. I really don't.
That's the thing I take out of it too, is that I look at the NFC seeding. I mean, you obviously got maybe San Fran, depending on what they do with Garoppolo's situation when they come back.
And Debo's out.
Yeah.
And that defense, I guess, will be. I don't know. I mean, Minnesota's gradually sinking.
which we knew was going to happen.
I don't
Yeah.
see any team in the league that their offense and defense are the Eagles' offense and defense. If a team has a really good offense, their defense isn't that great, and vice versa. This season, the Eagles are not that. The Eagles are solid across the board, and now, don't look now, but the special teams are starting.
What?
Well, not only that, TK. Do you remember the play?
And you're getting players back.
God is coming
Yep.
back.
What?
Carter Johnson. So do you guys remember against against Tennessee? They showed this play one time. They had all three receivers on the right side.
Yeah.
And they threw the ball
To the left.
to Sanders.
It was levels. Yeah, it was
And
levels.
I want to say, I told my buddy, I think they showed that play, Joe, in the preseason once. You didn't see it again, TK, until Tennessee, and you won't see it again till the playoffs.
And here's the reason why they did it.
I love it.
Is because they saw something in a previous play where the underman was wide open, and they said, well, if that under guy's wide open on that, and that's not even a pattern that he should be wide open, let's do this, and he sure should be open.
Dude, because what that does is, if I have to defend all three receivers on the right side, that leaves Goddard open, or even Sanders, or I don't know, Hurts might keep the ball and run.
Right.
How do you defend that?
And
How?
To piggyback off of that, has any of you ever seen an Eagles team address and fix mistakes from week to week like this Eagles team has?
We brought it up on the ride up. You have a guy in a punter that goes down, and you go and get a Pro Bowl punter just off the street.
I just mean even in your in-game adjustments, your week to week. Hey, this was a glaring issue last week, and then it's a strength the next week.
Listen, I go back to
I've never seen anything like that.
What happened in the previous 2 weeks with Indianapolis and the Houston Texans when we got ran all over? This is why people were like, oh, well, we're worried about our run game because we have Saquon and King Henry coming up. What happened? What happened? The adjustment that they said, okay, we did this wrong. We'll evaluate the film and we'll improve it. And boy, did they. This is a team that if they jump all over you,
that's their plan.
It's an ambush tactic.
Joey, that's their formula.
Yeah.
Their formula is to control the clock on the first drive, which they did against the Giants, go downfield, score, go up early. Now, and Joey's favorite cousin, Gannon, he doesn't know. You guys are going to sit down and, share barbecue over the summer.
Yeah, he'll have Doc Rivers over, too.
And Ben Simmons. Simmons will be
he's on the grill.
That would be
the grill.
That would be the most awkward barbecue.
I would watch my drink the entire day. But the thing is, what happens is, so now that helps everything else as far as how they're going to play moving forward. I think one of the things that really, to TK's point about the in-game adjustments, man, I got to go back to Sirianni, man. Listen, the guy gave up the play calling. You could clearly see he's on all three.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah. He's covering. He's covering defense. He's covering. Because I remember last year when things weren't going well with the defense, he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to address that," and I believe he did. Like, I think he's saying, "Look, I'm looking at all three phases. I'll take care of what I need to take care of." And here's the thing. This is my point. For a guy in his second year to have these guys, see, in order for the adjustments to work, TK, right? The players have to buy into the coach.
100%. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So for him to do that in 2 years, I salute him.
And here's the thing.
In that sport, I salute him.
Here's the thing. In last year, we clowned him.
Yeah, we did.
When he was like, you have to put the seed in,
the
flower pot. You have
it was just, all right, it wasn't the most heterosexual way to describe something.
No.
But it was accurate.
But yes,
I got it.
Yes. Now we see the flower blooming.
Right.
We're like, whoa. Okay.
Flower power, baby.
But no, and also with that, at the time the team was struggling, right?
Right.
So it's like it's a Philly thing.
Someone
Like,
make a shirt with
dude,
that.
I want to hear the flowers. I'm trying to win the game. Here's the other thing that no one talks about that's quite interesting with this team. So we know that they have bad quarterbacks, James. We know that, right? They went up against bad quarterbacks, but they changed their offense to a running game. Somehow now they somehow reversed it and got it back to a more balanced. Last week they were 31 passes and 31 rushes.
Incredible.
Against Green Bay, he goes, "Oh, we'll run the ball on you, Green Bay, because
We can.
We can. Oh, Tennessee, your corners stink. We'll pass the ball on you. How do you?
Because we
stop that?
can. Because we can. And that's the difference, is that this is a team that, and look, I will give tons of kudos to Tom about when we had talked about.
Hold on. I'm getting kudos here. Everybody listen up.
When we did the trust, don't trust with people, and Tom mentioned Sirianni, and I said I don't trust, and you said implicitly that you entrust him because of what he's willing to do. And you brought up that key example of what Damon was bringing up about taking the play calling responsibilities away.
Mhm.
You said, look, it takes a very proud person to kind of take a step back from that.
Yeah.
And look,
Most
absolutely.
Most young coaches in this league, and come, you know how it goes. Chip Kelly is an example. I'm coming from Oregon, which is a small town. I'm coming to this big city with the biggest sports franchise of them all. I want to show that I'm the man, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so for him to, when that was announced over the summer that he was giving up play calling, I kind of thought that went under the radar as well. I was like, I remember being in my car when I heard that announced. I was like, you know what? I like that. I like that a lot, because this way he can focus on the entire team. You see these young coaches come in, the playbook is in their face. Meanwhile, special teams are screwing up. Defense is giving up yards and tons of penalties, and nothing's getting done. He's like, you know what? No, let me cover the whole base. I got this. And man, dude, he's
Yeah. So
take that,
I have
that, Chris Sims.
I have a couple more. I have a couple more things I want to get into before we get our predictions and get out of here.
Yes,
One, this entire season, and with each win, this pops into my head more and more.
Mhm.
I remember the feeling in the pit of my stomach last year at our live remote at South House, watching the Eagles get blown apart in the playoffs. And it was like Popeye before spinach, and now this team is like Popeye after eating the spinach. I'm seething, waiting to see.
We don't have to pay you on Tuesday.
I'm
Listen,
seething to wait to see what happens.
Only one show references
seaweed.
Three Stooges and Popeye in the same show.
Welcome into the Pattison Ave Phanatics.
Seaweed. Remember Seaweed?
Is Brandon Graham a viable candidate for comeback player of the year or what?
Dude,
Oh,
I'm about to
yeah,
get a
I
jersey.
agree.
I'm about to get a jersey.
Does this guy deserve another contract?
Yeah. No, he's a lifer.
He goes
Gotta
nowhere.
finish him. He goes
He
nowhere.
goes nowhere.
I don't want to have happen to him what happened
I don't
to
give a
BD.
shit. I don't give a shit.
No. You got it, Joey. He's a lifer. He just tied Benerick. I can't get his name out.
Chuck Bednarik.
Chuck Benerick for 13 years Eagle, and then next year we'll pass him.
Yes.
You have to keep him, Joe.
He's one of the.
They missed him last year.
He's one of the best, the greatest Eagles of all time.
Yeah, they missed him last
Tenure, what he's done.
Yeah.
He's an all-timer.
Yeah, he pushes. I'm watching him last week. He's literally, James, pushing offensive linemen into the quarterback.
Yes.
And he has 8.5 sacks. He's going to get 10
He's
sacks.
going to get double-digit
He's
sacks
going to
this
get
year.
two. He's going to 10 sacks.
and
And they'll come
Dave,
against Dak Prescott.
Our friend Anthony Gargano
Yes, sir.
wanted Earl Thomas more than any
Yes,
other
he did. I remember.
defensive player.
I remember.
He even said himself this week on air.
Yes, he did.
He said, and I wanted Earl Thomas, and he's been out of the league 3 years
That's
now.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
BG is one of, in my opinion, is going to go down as one of the greatest and favoritist.
I give B. That's well said, TK. I give BG credit because I remember his first 2 years he was hurt. He couldn't get on the field, and then slowly but surely they would put him in. He would be productive. They would sit him
Every
down.
big moment, here's Brandon Graham.
Yep, and he worked his way up, and then he's been solid.
Yo, this is the difference, and this is why it irks me about how Philly fans get such a bad rap. there are certain players in this city that when you show that you are willing to work and you are willing to grind, this city will back you like you're a family member.
Absolutely.
And there is a selection, a very small selection of Eagles from time to time, from generation to generation, that becomes those fan favorite, that family favorite players.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey,
Yeah.
those guys are going to be those people.
I have a prime example of how I feel about this. As you guys know, I worked at FedEx for 15 years.
Yeah.
I had to pick up at a house over in the.
Are you stalking Brandon again?
No.
Okay.
No. I had to pick up at a house. I show up to this house, and Brandon Graham opens the door and welcomes me into FedEx. Man, come in here. I got to ask you a question. His wife used to ship stuff out all the time. He goes, "She's not ready yet. Is there any way you could come back at 4:00 to pick these up?" This is like 11 a.m. I said, "For Brandon Graham, I'll get out of bed at midnight. Put these things in my car to wherever you're shipping them to."
My man.
And he said, "My man." I said, "BG, anything for you."
Oh
brother.
man, that's
always
beautiful.
the nicest guy
That's beautiful.
to everybody who comes across. One of my favorite Eagles.
Isn't that nice when you like a guy and you meet him
And
he's a good guy?
He's what you hoped he would be.
When I met Joel Embiid, Prince leading of his friend's hand, pounding me up. I know somebody good dude. Like I like to hear that, man. And these guys, and this is a likable team.
It is.
We like these guys.
It's like family already.
Yes.
Yeah, we like these guys. That's a great
All
story,
right,
man.
let's get some predictions here before we get out of here. I'm going to go first this week. I'm going to say Philadelphia Eagles take care of business. Don't fuck around. 38-10. Eagles destroy Chicago. Gardner Minshew is going to be in halfway through the third quarter. I love it.
Dame, I'll let you go.
45-16.
Ooh.
It didn't take long.
Didn't take them long. Prediction?
That's like when you're out to eat and your wife was like, "I don't know what I want yet. You order first," and you're like, "I'll take the filet and potato." Back to you.
Back to you. I'm done. It's a wrap.
Prediction? Pain.
Prediction? Pain.
38-14 Birds.
38-14.
Joseph.
Uh-oh.
Now he's factoring in the weather in Chicago. It's going to be cold. They might not pass the ball as much, so it's going to be a lot of ground attack, right? Am I right?
Well, yeah, and I feel like you have Justin Fields, who's kind of a prototype like Jalen Hurts,
which is why the entire defense has been scouting with Jalen Hurts all this week.
Right. I'm gonna go Eagles 35-21.
Okay.
Actually 35-24 Eagles over the Bears. I honestly think that this is going to be more of a run game for the quarterbacks than it is for the running backs. And honestly, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And can I make one thing crystal clear to everyone out there who's still yelling at the top of their lungs that Hurts needs to stop running? No. That's like asking Tom Brady to stop being a good quarterback.
Do you see how smart Hurts is with the football?
Right.
He is the smartest Eagles quarterback I've ever seen with the football, because even Carson, who seemed to have a high IQ, didn't know when to get rid of the ball, didn't know when to go down.
Ultimate weapon 2.0.
He is the quarterback you never thought you needed.
The reason why I don't worry about him running, because it's carefully thought out. And I know where I need to get to, and I know how to slide
and he's smart with the football,
get out of bounds. Yeah, I'm not running into harm's way. Okay, I know people that one game when the mouthpiece fell out. Okay, fine. But ever since then, he's kind of kept it as he's always been. Like, I know where to run, know to get to it. I'm getting out of bounds.
The one thing I like about what Jalen Hurts does is that he always slides. Like with Carson Wentz, like it would kill me when he won't slide. It's like, fucking slide, God damn it!
Absolutely, and he's built like a brick shit house too.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen,
that's on a shingle.
That's gonna do it for us this week.
Yeah.
So for Joe Marks, James Scores, Damon Salim, Dave Yarnell, and Frank Finnegan, who aren't here in studio this week, Joe Scores, of course. My name's Tom Kelly. This is the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. Go Birds!
Go Birds! We're out. Eagles, go, 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 go!